I'm going to show you how to create a $1 million digital product. And while it's hard, it takes a lot less time than you may think. One of the #1 reasons business owners fail is they struggle to create an elite product or offer. Now, I've done over $115 million in sales with a single digital product, but anyone can do the same thing using what I'm about to teach you in this video. The framework you're about to learn is something that has helped over 50,000 plus of my clients build highly profitable businesses, like Devin at $200,000 a month and Heather, who's doing $400,000 a month. Now, in order for you to get to $1 million and consistent 100K months, there's one thing that is vital to growth: what you know and what you can teach. Because the online education industry is going to reach $1 trillion by 2032. So you need to be thinking, what do you know well enough to teach? What do people ask you for advice in? Where do you have the most experience and confidence? Now, if you're not sure what to sell, where you want to go is udemy.com or allison.com, and you can start looking at all the different courses that they teach about digital marketing, business, B2C, fitness, everything in between, and you can find the skill that best fits you and what you want to get into that you can then start to sell. Now, once you've actually figured out what it is you want to sell, what I'm going to take you over to the board over here is the 6-step process you need to build a $1 million digital product. So the first thing that we want to get to is the offer, all right? And about the offer, the main thing you want to have in terms of selling it is what I call a USP, or unique selling proposition. Most people are selling similar things to other people, right? And especially as a beginning business owner, you don't have a lot of experience. You haven't ran companies before, or maybe you don't have a lot of money or a lot of time, so you have limited skills. I started in the fitness industry, and one of the things I did to set myself apart is I created a very unique USP. And my USP was how to eat whatever you want without sabotaging results. Now, I could have just said, if it fits your macros, or eat what you want as long as you're tracking your calories. That's what most trainers would say. But because I said that, that gave me a unique selling point that sounded different from everyone else. And remember, people are always going to go with what is more unique. They're listening for what is different out there. Let me give you a different example. In business, okay? If I'm going to try to teach you about growing a business, you're looking for, why am I unique? Now, obviously, I've done $115 million in sales, but the other thing, when I was starting a business, I said the CC framework. And what I would say is, I'm going to teach you the CC framework, the conversion conversations framework, that will increase your application rates by 70%, which will then increase your sales by 70%. And I went into more specifics, but that was my secret sauce. That was the thing that would get people to buy. If we go to two of my other clients, one sells green cards. Now, in terms of this offer, I don't actually mean he sells green cards. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. But he helps people with, I think it's like a 90% success rate or something crazy high, get green cards. So the other way you can get around this, you either have a USP or you have a very unique offer. Very unique. Unique meaning there's not a lot of other people who sell it. So think of it this way. If you were the only fitness trainer in all planet Earth, you would get 100% of the business. That obviously isn't a reality, but if you were selling to people how to get green cards and you're one of the only people out there, that's a pretty rigorous tests and service and things you have to do. That automatically will set you apart without having a USP. When you combine both, you can make millions of dollars. Another one of my clients, she helps students get into Ivy League schools. Her name's Cynthia. Think about this. If you can help a client get into an Ivy League school, a student, parents will pay extreme amounts of money to guarantee their children have a better life, get into better schools. So that, again, these are more unique. So it's one of two things. You either pick something that everyone is selling and you create a USP, unique selling proposition, or you sell something that literally is unique, meaning not a lot of people do it. You cannot have it both ways. That is step #1. Once we figured out our USP and how we're going to set ourselves apart, the next thing we want to figure out is our ideal client. So in fitness, I realized that unless people were over 35, they usually didn't care enough to buy. And if they were in their 20s, they didn't have a lot of money. So I only targeted people who were 35 years or older. For business, what I usually find, this isn't the case, so if you're over this age range, don't kill me. But usually 22 to 35 is a sweet spot. Why? Well, think about it. Usually at 22, you're already out of college, so you have a little bit of money you're willing to invest. And at 35, you're still young enough that you're still willing to push. Most people past 35, they start to slow down. I got kids, I got a job, I got a mortgage, I don't really want to do anything risky. So that, for me, is the sweet spot that I found. Obviously, you can have more things in terms of finding an ideal avatar. It's not just age, but I'm trying to show you guys here specifically by age range. You could also do males only. You could do certain countries only. You could do certain demographics. One of my clients, Prasha, she actually helps engineers double their earnings and get better jobs. She only goes after engineers. That's her ideal avatar. She goes to engineers who are making 80 to 100 grand a year and then helps them get to 150 to $200,000. For here, Ranjit goes after clients who work at Google specifically. Why does he do Google? Because most of them are making $150,000 a year or more so they can afford his service. Okay, he has a pretty expensive service. For the Ivy League schools, my client Cynthia goes after adults who are usually in high income areas. Why? Because she tried to go the low ticket route and realized that was a really hard model to make profitable. So she goes to the high ticket route. She charges $15,000 to $30,000 plus, and she sells them like butter. I mean, she crushes. She actually made $600,000 per year without running ads or a big following. She has 3,000 followers on Instagram. It's unbelievable. But that's what can happen with the power of an offer. That's why this part is so important. We've gone through our ideal avatar. The next part is understanding what makes a good offer. Okay, and we've already gone through a little bit. Now, if you haven't read the book $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, I highly recommend it. And in his book, the main thing he talks about is determined outcome. Okay, I'm just going to put simpler words: risk, time, plus effort. Okay, so think about what I help people do, and this is the hardest part of my job, is I help people build their businesses. So the determined outcome is usually pretty good. Let's say you make 100 grand a year or more. Okay, most people want that. There's pretty high chance of risk. It can take a lot of time. It could take you minimum 4 months, 3 months, right? And the last thing is it takes a lot of effort. So this only gets a 1 out of 4 score, because if you're looking at the model in $100 Million Offers, he's talking about what makes an offer really good. So this is actually pretty low. If we then take Cynthia's offer, which is helping students get into Ivy League schools, let's think about determined outcome, very high. Perceived likelihood of risk, very low, because she has a 90% success rate. She worked in admissions for 20 years. She has a really awesome process. The time, it's going to pass anyways. They're in high school, so that's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. And then effort probably is pretty high. So that's a better offer. It's 2 out of 4. It's also super unique, but that's a better offer. The only thing I can think of that's a 4 out of 4 is, let's say, plastic surgery. Okay, because most things in life take a little bit of effort. But hypothetically, if you had an offer that was completely done for you and it was easy to fulfill, that's one of the best offers. Why? Plastic surgery, good outcome, lose 100 pounds, let's say. No risk, or it's very low risk, right? Instant results, no effort. They just lay on the table. If you understand that model, whenever you're thinking about what it is you're going to sell, think about, do you have a unique selling point? That's number one. If you don't, is it just super unique by itself? You help people get green cards. You help people get in Ivy League schools. You help people get on big podcasts. Like, there's not a lot of people who can say that they can do that. Anyone can really say, I'm a coach, which makes my industry more hard to win at because you have to be better, right? It's not that you can't win. You just have to be better, right? My goal as a coach is I always try to help people win at the easiest level possible. The better your offer is, it makes everything easier. It's easier to get leads. It's easier to make sales. It's easier to do fulfillment. It's easier to run the business. So as I'm maturing and I'm getting deeper in business, this is my 7th year of business, I'm trying to pick future business models where the offer has a unique advantage, has a competitive advantage, where if someone is doing all the same stuff, they still can't beat me because my offer is better. So now we go to step number 2, which is leads. Now, if you have a great offer, that's awesome, but leads is how businesses make money. At the end of the day, you need sales, which means you need leads, which means you have to have a consistent way of generating those leads. Now, there's really only 3 ways to get leads. The first way is sheer force. Okay, so sheer force. Now, what I mean by sheer force, this is how I started my business, is I had no following, I had no money, I had no experience in business. I just had a lot of time. And so what I did is I used sheer force by outreaching to strangers to buy my fitness services. That's how I started. Now, the numbers that you're going to want to know, if that's you, if that resonates, what you want to start with is 100 DMs a day, usually 20 an hour, because if you go over 20 an hour, you're going to get a spam block. Okay. So 20-ish an hour. If you can only send 15, great. Send 15. Alternate between Facebook and Instagram. Out of the 100 people you message, you're going to get a 10 to 15% response rate. Now, if you're not getting that, your message is weird, right? And I actually have a link below to my free university school. You can see actual live messaging. Okay, so if you need to see that, please click the link there. 10 to 15% reply, and then you get 10% to book a call. So in this scenario, let's say we had 15 people reply, you would book 1 call. Okay, that'd be awesome. And then the goal is you would close a percentage of those individuals. Usually I say 1 out of 10 calls with cold traffic, but it could be a little bit better. The second way to do it, and this is what most gurus are gonna try to tell you is gonna work, is you can post on social. Now, this is the preferred way. Why? Because if I post this YouTube video and you like my content, you engage with it, you give me, thumbs up on the YouTube videos, you're leaving comments, you're going through my portals, my curriculum, you're building trust with me. So it's more likely later on that you're gonna buy, whether you plan on doing it or not. It's more likely because you have an affiliation with me, you have brand equity with me, or I have brand equity with you. So on social, the biggest issue here is if you post a piece of content and it goes viral, or you get a lot of likes, shares, comments, you can outreach to the likes, you can outreach to the comments, and you can outreach to the shares, okay? The issue with that is if you post a piece of content, and you only get 2 likes, that's not really gonna work. So in a perfect scenario, the people you see make a lot of money. Sometimes it's not because they're good at business, unfortunately, and that's why you might have a bad experience. It's because they're good at getting traffic. This is the most expensive price in business, but having a large presence is really hard. That's why you guys see me working on it so hard now, because I know in the long term of business, I want to do business for 20, 30, 40 years. I have to work on this. I have to actually master the game of social media, okay? So that is pillar number 2, but if you don't get a lot of likes, you got to go back to pillar number 1. And the reason most people don't want to do the first one of cold outreach or sheer force is it's hard. But I am here to tell you, it's hard to make $1 million, but anyone can do it. You just have to be willing to do the work. The last one is events. Now, I will use this as a caveat. It usually works better if you have some type of brand. So ClickFunnels actually had an event in Las Vegas last month called Funnel Hacking Live, because I've won a lot of awards from ClickFunnels. Every award you can think of, 1 million, 10 million, 115 million, etc. A lot of people at this event knew who I was. Now, what we did is we were at the event. I had a few team members of mine. We would meet people and say, hey, come back to our room for a breakfast club. All right. At this breakfast club, we had 100 plus people show up, and we did over $300,000 in sales, because what I did is I went in, I told a 5-10 minute story about who I was and a little bit about me in case someone didn't really know a lot. I did a Q&A for 3 to 5 hours. And then at the end, I did a small pitch. And because I gave value for so many hours, there were a lot of people who felt they wanted to work with me and my team on building their businesses. Those are the 3 ways. More than likely, most of you are going to have to start with sheer force. But if you have a great social media following, or you're great at content, use that to your advantage. A lot of the creators you envy or you look at, they're not rich because they're great at business. They're great at getting traffic. So Mr. Beast, while he's getting there and he's a young guy, he's better at content than he is at business. I'm better at business than I am at content. And if you can make both of those work together, you get little child called Alex Hormozi. Okay? Now, after we've built a unique offer, we've gotten traffic, we get leads. Now we obviously have to start making sales. Now, there's a lot of stuff I could cover in sales, and you can watch some of my other YouTube videos on that, or you can go to Elite Universities and the link below. I have tons of trainings. But when we're talking about sales, the number one thing you want to get is they're going to move forward ASAP. They have money, and they do not need a spouse's permission, okay? So the biggest questions, the way you get someone to commit to this is you don't tell them. You don't say, hey, you're going to commit today, right? You ask the question that gets them to say the thing you're wanting them to say. So sales is all ethical manipulation. I've done it for a long time. I've done door-to-door sales. Highly recommend if you've never done it. But the main thing I try to do here is I say, why now? Why today? Why is it even important? Like, why don't you just do it in a year? I'll say that as a question. So that's question number 1, is it's why now? To get them to commit that they'll move forward by the end of the call, right? Because if I can get them to admit that today is better than in a year or in a month or in 2 weeks or whatever, like at the end of the call, I can bring that up. Hey, you said moving forward today would be the best move. If it's a fit, what's the deal? That's number 1. Number 2 is then I figure out the opportunity cost. This is huge. So if I'm selling someone business consulting, and let's say you get on a call with me, you say, hey, Tanner, I've been seeing your YouTube videos, I've been seeing your content, I really like it. I've been thinking about you for a year to work with you. okay, well, let's say in a year, my average client who works with me one-to-one adds an additional $600,000 of revenue, right? So that means you've lost $600,000 minimum by waiting a year to work with me. That actually helps move the sale forward, because they get to the end and they still hold off on time. You go, look, you've already lost $600,000 by waiting a year. Why would you want to wait any longer? That's super critical to this part, to sales. I get those commitments in discovery. So at the end of the call, if they give me any pushback or they say, hey, I'm not willing to move forward, I can close them by bringing this stuff up. That's the most key part. If you need more sales, objections, or training, there's a link to my free university below. Check it out. Okay. Super hope it helps you guys a lot. Now, after sales, we want to move directly into automation. Now, one of the biggest issues I see with some of my clients when they come to me is that they have zero automation in their business. Now, personal touch is always going to supersede anything. Meaning, if I met you in person, or you came to my house, or we had dinner, it's more likely that you buy from me than if we just talk over Instagram or chat, or you see my YouTube video, right? But you need to have automations in your business to help with follow-up and nurture. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have emails that go out to your prospects. So if you click on any of my links below, it's going to ask you for your name, phone number, and email. You're going to start getting emails. 100%. We want to make sure we do that. Number 2 is text. We want to have text. Again, these things are pushing them to the action you want them to take. We're not pushing them in 100 different things. But if my goal is to get you to book a call with me and my team to buy our products, I'm going to push you links to text and email that take you to book a call. So this is the sales portion. All right. The next thing we want to have is we want to have automations with delivery. So this is when someone is onboarded. This is when someone closes the deal, right? You just purchased from us. We have automations that help automate that onboarding and delivery, so we don't have to do every part of it. You get emails and texts that take you to our private base camp, that take you to our free school group, or take you to our paid school group. We want to have those different links so that it helps automate that part. If you're unfamiliar with automations, you can either sign up for a 7-day free trial at elite360.io, okay? That's ours, or use whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Think of automations as cars or vehicles. The only thing that you really have to look at is the support. So I obviously think we have a really good support team, but if that's not what you're into, use something else. It doesn't really matter. I've used ActiveCampaign, I've used ClickFunnels, I've used everything, right? Like, it doesn't really matter what you use. You can use MailChimp, Aweber, it doesn't matter. Anything will work as long as it gets the job done. That's super vital, okay? Next, to get to $1 million, we have to have fulfillment. Now, the biggest thing with fulfillment is just knowing exactly how you're going to deliver things. So the main thing, if someone's to work with me and my team, I'll just use it as an example. If you're selling anything that's service-based, high ticket, coaching, anything like that, you want to make sure that you have a curriculum. All right. The worst thing you can do to try to scale a business or to do $1 million is to try to one-on-one work with every single person. Now, you can have a one-on-one aspect or component, but they should get some of the delivery with the curriculum. The curriculum can be, all right, step 1, step 2, step 3. It has videos, portals, templates, PDFs, whatever you need to help you assist so you don't have to create videos every single time. Meaning, if I say, hey, you guys need help with sales, go to this sales section and go over it. That way I don't have to create a video for every single person. Or, hey, you need help with automations? Go to the section that's going to teach you automations. Oh, you need help with leads? Go to the section. That's what I mean by curriculum. Curriculum people talk about in a negative way a lot of times as a course. Oh, it's just a course. The best thing is when you have coaching with a curriculum, okay? And then the next thing is make sure you have a communication channel. So all my coaching that we do, they come in, they have curriculum, and then they have a private base camp. Inside the base camp, we have docs and files. And then different people on my team, we help run ads for our clients. We help get setters for our clients. We help get closers for our clients. We help set up tech for our clients. We help do funnels, everything in between. We set up those communication channels separately so that everything's in one place, but it doesn't get all jumbled together like a group text. So think if you had a private text with each person, but at any time I can click on that text and see the communication. That's how we have a really good client fulfillment process. And what you need to do, you need to have a curriculum. It doesn't have to be day one. When you start, you can start by just getting on Zoom calls, take those videos, record them, put them in your curriculum in the beginning. And then later, as your team grows, you can actually update those videos, right? So for example, I've been doing business for, this is my 7th year. I've updated my curriculum 3 times. Every 2 years, I update the curriculum to keep it up to date, fresh, and people know that it's new, right? Like you don't want to have the first year curriculum as your 6-year curriculum. That doesn't make any sense. And then just having really good communication. That's the key thing. Have great communication. The number one thing for clients leaving you testimonials and paying you more money is results and great communication. If you don't do those things, clients think you don't care. Finally, after fulfillment, the last thing we need to do to get to $1 million is hire. And hiring is so important because ultimately, unless you want to work 24/7 and you don't ever want to take breaks and you never want to go on vacations and you never want to have a fun life, you have to hire properly. Now, your first 4 hires are really going to be only 2 positions, okay? You can do $1 million, do $100K a month with 2 hires, okay? The first hire is going to be what I call an account manager. So whenever your business is growing, usually around the $20K a month mark, you're going to be maxed out because you're doing lead generation, you're doing sales, you're having to set up all the automations, you're hiring people, and you have to do fulfillment. So you need some help. The key thing to look at is what is the least important out of these. Now, a lot of you are going to say fulfillment. That's wrong. It's actually sales, because if you stop making sales, the business will die. If you have bad fulfillment, your business eventually will get a bad reputation. So that's not good forever. But in the beginning, usually the fulfillment is the easiest thing to offload and it's less important than making sales. Okay, so I don't want you guys to get it mixed up and think, oh, I don't have to give a good service. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying that that's better to hire for in the beginning with an account manager than to try to hire a sales specialist, because you're probably not making enough money to hire anyone good. Usually most salespeople who can make a lot of money, they want to be making 20 grand a month, at least 10. So if you're making 20 grand a month, if you're paying someone $10,000, that doesn't make any sense. You can probably pay $2,000, 10% of what you're making. Okay, so we want an account manager. The next hire is going to be a setter. So the setter is going to take over the lead generation. So if you think about it, the most important thing is sales. The second most important thing is the leads. And then probably after that is the fulfillment. So you want to hire for the least important thing first. So we already hired an account manager for fulfillment. Now we want to hire a setter for the lead. So the setter is going to go into your Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and they're going to message people and or call people if you're getting phone numbers, and they're going to try to set them on sales calls. That's why they're called a setter, right? The whole point is to qualify them and set them on a sales call. And so as you scale past, 50 grand a month, you're getting closer to 100K, the only thing you're going to do is you're going to get maybe 2 account managers and 2 setters, usually at $100,000 a month. So you have $1 million digital product. You're going to have 2 setters because they alternate shifts, and you're going to have 2 account managers because you have a lot of clients. Because if you're selling, let's say, a 5K package, you have a minimum of 20 clients, probably around 40 because you have payment plans. And so that's usually what you need to get to $1 million with a digital product or $100,000 a month. So if you guys need any help with this, any help at all, there's a link down below. You can book a call with me and my team. We actually help you set this whole thing up. This is what I help people do. And if you don't need that, great. You can at least check out our free resources. And as always, guys, I hope this helps. I'll see you in the next video.